let's keep this shit rolling with Chapter 5, Your Eyes Have Been Closed. This is a long page. Oh, is... And she's off. And she sees something. Robo-eye. The dissonant hum of struggling mechanics fills Terezi's ears as she sits cross-legged on the floor of the now ruined engine room. She likes it here. The soft white noise ringing of the extensive ventilation network sounds, if she closes her nose just right, like the rustle of wind through the leaves of a tree hive universes away. The warm thrumming of machines at work is accompanied by blinking lights that taste like rainbow sprinkles as they flicker, but Terezi isn't distracted from the main object of her focus, the unconscious body of Rose Lalonde, bathed in dim light, chest rising and falling in an artificially induced slumber. Wires and tubes run up from her plinth to the ceiling of the chamber, keeping her alive, yes, but too much just for that purpose. Something about the angle of intravenous tubing and fiber optic cables makes Terezi think the old stories about the psionic. Her train of thought is interrupted by metallic footfalls and the screeching sound of a broken airlock door sliding open. There you are. I haven't seen much of you. I've been right here for hours, but your eyes have been closed the whole time. Rosebud turns her head to look at the frail, failing vessel that once housed her consciousness. She doesn't even dispatch a fake laugh to her behavioral display matrix in pity of this half-joke. Your attachment to my comatose body is unexpectedly charming, as well as slightly sinister. She isn't going to do anything. She isn't coming back from where she's gone. You never know. Yes, I suppose that's true. Anything can happen. You can't see the future, etc., etc. Except I can. I can see the trajectory the story needs to take, and thus I know the trajectory it will take. And resurrecting my meat puppet would not only be difficult to the point of being worthless, it would also be extremely lame. Not that it would be out of character for this story. We live and breathe on the stupefyingly mind-numbing and the mind-numbingly stupid, but then we begin to veer towards dissolution yet again. If what you're saying is true, if a story has to be compelling to be canon, do you really think Dirk is the type to tell a compelling story? His taste in anime alone is concerning. I did enjoy the one about the horses, though. I don't think that counts as anime. But that's why we're here, isn't it? To steer this story the right way? I guess. But you're not enthusiastic. Sigh. Playing with the whole world like it's some kind of squeaky looses toy does not sound like it has its... or does sound like it has its moments. I mean, my friends wanted to rule your little world as petty tyrants after we won the game ourselves. But do you think that would have been for the best for you and all the other mammalian weirdos on your planet? It didn't happen because it didn't happen. If I have to hear one more tautology from either of you, I am going to move to the woods and plague your new society as a hermit bog monster forever. See? That's the spirit. Become a myth. Become as myth, Terezi Pyrope, the troll under the bridge you were always meant to be. The village chalk supplies would be ravaged. Townsfolk will tell their children scary stories of the terrible dragon hiding in the woods. If they're not good, she might emerge from the swamp and moralize at them. Just because you've elected to abandon the concepts of good and bad entirely doesn't mean I don't still have moral reservations. But this isn't about that. I'm talking about the basic ability of intelligent beings in all real and hypothetical plans of existence to give a shit. I don't give a shit. And honestly, I have a hard time understanding why you do. Where did this come from? You didn't do much world building when you fucked off for eons and let chess people build your planet. That approach failed. Without an organized antagonistic force, the planet became fundamentally unsuited to relevance. Its dissolution was inevitable, and our fellow victors couldn't or wouldn't see. We only know one way to perpetuate canon for sure: to play and defeat the game and continue the life cycle of the Genesis frog we cling to parasitically. This obviously has destructive consequences once we spare the Earth by coming here and starting from a blank slate. Now it is protected in the steady hands of a duly elected ruler, sure to have a boring and uneventful perpetual term in office. Blah, 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 blah. So you feel bad about how much you guys were big teen failures in one other flip of the coin. No, I don't feel bad. I don't need to bargain with the past or question it. Everything that happened brought us here. An imperfect mechanism, to be sure, resting in points, barely functional in others, occasionally relying on the labor of strange clowns. As the sheer number of doomed universes our actions in the game spun off should show, we barely understood this design at the time. Truly, we stumbled through the tape of the finish line ass first, cheating all the way. But there was no table of judges waiting to adjudicate our performance by holding up little placards with numbers on them. We are the observers and we are the judges. We won, and to the victor go the spoils. If you want a hand in making the rules of this new world, then don't storm off. You're trying to lead me to accept your moral framework. What if no one should control the universe? All we fought against was monsters who converted power into control. And not everything we lost fighting them was a mistake. There was a lot of sacrifice for the idea of good. What's the point in continuing this story if that was meaningless? If Lord English was just holding up the world? If it takes acting like him to keep it alive? Wouldn't it be better to just let it die? Rosebot looks over at the plinth where her body sits, kept alive, sure, but atrophied and weak, dependent on this machine to continue projecting consciousness to the abiotic enclosure, keeping the realization of the ultimate self from tearing her apart. Wouldn't it be better to just let it die? Terezi isn't asking new questions. Rose had first threatened suicide when she was 8. She couldn't bear the thought of attending the funeral her mother was organizing for her beloved cat Jasper's. When she was 10, she put on her coat and stood in whipping winter winds on the balcony overlooking a frozen waterfall, imagining the plunge with a blank expression on her face, eyes stinging from the New York cold. Her mother had drunk herself to sleep with the vacuum on again, the mechanical wailing inside playing a chord with the gale outside inescapable. But her first and only real attempt was a success. All these thoughts cross her mind in a microcycle. Explaining things to someone not aided by the exponential increase in processing power Rosebot has is tedious. Terezi's hesitation won't be swayed by explaining more of the universe. There's another source at work. Not to be indelicate, Terezi, but I have wondered something. Yeah, it would be completely unlike you to be indelicate. I'm being serious. You said it yourself that you don't give a shit. This melancholy, this meaninglessness you're feeling, I think there's another explanation for it. One having little to do with the structural soundness of our plan. I think there's a psychological explanation at work here. Of course you do. You think there's a psychological explanation for everything. It all has to do with mothers and repression. Your mother was an egg. I realize there are limitations at play here to this human experience. But I don't think it requires a great deal of insight, even though I do in fact have a great deal of insight, to recognize that you are fucking depressed. Oh, thank you, Dr. Science. Let me take out my human checkbook to pay you for these invaluable human insights. Discovering that there is a problem is the only way to solve it. The constant insistence that everything is as it ought to be isn't just counterproductive, it's pathetic. From one seer to another, we both know how bad you've gotten in the past, or if not in the past, in some past. I have no desire to meet that Terezi, no matter how doubtlessly sticky and charming she might be. Not every bad feeling is a syndrome, and just because I do things differently than you doesn't mean my brain is broken. That's not what depression is. Oh my god, I don't care. Stop trying to get through to me or whatever else you think is happening here. We aren't friends. Go ahead, do your arts and crafts project with people's lives. Shockingly, Terezi, I am not asking you for your permission or your blessing. I need neither. I was offering a reprieve from the monotony of the last 3 years and what promises to be a long stretch of time going forward. Your life is going to be short compared to mine and Dirk's, but that doesn't mean it has to be boring. The two of you really are made for each other. I am made from him. That's how families work. So why you left Kanaya behind? Because you know so fucking much about family? I would be careful if I were you. The weight of what I know and you do not is enough to overwhelm a mortal frame. Ugh! Shut up! Stop pulling this mystical bullshit every time. Don't you miss her? Don't you? Your constant deflection is as pointless as it is ineffective. My feelings are irrelevant. There is nothing to mourn if it all dissolves. Not even the capacity for grief. If the cycle of Canon must continue, then it must. Some don't understand that. You do. I did. Is this what canon means, though? Garish orange and purple gods acting out the same story again and again. Another journey, another planet, another game. I grew up thinking I had to throw away everyone and go jet off to space. It wasn't good or evil. It was just easy to justify as just what must happen. It was essential. But was it relevant and true? This isn't the same, and you know it. We see things the way they are. We are obliged to act to save the concept of meaning itself by continuing to spin the narrative loom into new tapestries. Sigh! I used to enjoy talking to you, you know. When I thought this was what you wanted, that Kanaya just couldn't understand, that we had to do this. But now I can't tell. Did you want all this? Or did the prince? Abruptly, Terezi is lifted from the ground with a glidingly smooth, effortless motion. Metal is so much stronger than the flesh. She flashes a sharp-toothed grin as her feet dangle uselessly in front of the lithe, metallic form of her counterpart seer. Inspiring a reaction like this from Rose's robotic placidity has been like squeezing blood from a stone on this years-long journey. Delicious candy red blood. I have complete recall of every sensation my body experienced. I can simulate and have simulated cherished and tragic memories in their entirety. They flood my circuits with feeling, more real than flesh ever could be, a direct contact between mind and memory. Is this what you want to hear, Terezi? That I can play the complete sensory experience of my first kiss 100 times in a single clock cycle? Do you want me to rend my garments and wail at the tragedy of it all? Play victim, damsel in distress, leak lubricant from the joints of my eyes to simulate the tears I can no longer shed? I know what I have lost. I have taken a full account of it. I cannot and will not forget it. But to cling to it as it faded to nothing would be meaningless capitulation to entropy. Someone must sit atop Olympus and propagate the fabric of reality upon which these memories sit. That is the task we have taken on. The game does not feel, the game does not mourn, the game must be played, and we must guide those who will play it better than we ourselves were guided. Just as I remember the good, I can recall the terror that consumed me and overwhelmed my body. The visions of disillusion, the narrative unspooling, 1,000 voices shouting contradiction. What value is a marriage, temporary domestic bliss if all is lost? You understand this bargain. At least you should. It's one that was made to leave you alone. Is your resentment towards my choice about Kanaya or about the bunk? Rosebot's even metallic voice is interrupted by the bang of skull against metal, and Terezi's headbutt collapses the both of them into a crumpling heap of metal and flesh. That was a step too far. Tensions that once simmered under the surface have found the catalyst for a boil. Terezi and Rosebot's repartee of words is replaced by the dissonant notes of clanging and smashing as they roll around on the floor of the crashed Theseus's central chambers, throwing punches and smashing into control panels in a crescendo of chaos. This is more than a sufficient distraction from the melancholy Terezi was sinking into. Her senses are alight. The whir of servos and actuators are a dusting of snow on her hearing, undercutting the percussion of the rolling wrestling match. The orange cloth she's ripping and scuffing suffuses every breath she inhales with the sweetly acidic taste of grapefruit and tangerine. She imagines anger pouring from the glassy red eyes as they roll over one last time. Rosebot finally has Terezi pinned to the ground by the throat. A cool metallic knee is pressed hard between her legs, holding her down. A natural pause in the staccato squabble is found, and two pairs of red eyes are locked on each other. Terezi's breath rises and falls deeply. The robot's intricately crafted torso does not simulate breath, but the soft, susurrus purr of cooling fans betrays the tension. Terezi spits out a few raspy words gleefully. I take it back. Turns out I still enjoy talking to you. A simulated smirk is summoned into being on the robot's face. A voice file plays in high fidelity. Back to our usual stimulating dialogue, it seems. Rosebot leans in close. Terezi can smell the licorice black lipstick, the same kind as always, applied now to synthetic polymer lips inches away from her own. Rosebot's metal fingers close just a little tighter around her neck. Whoa, whoa, whoa. I fiddle with some advanced speciation machinery for a few hours and then come back to this? This is the problem with lesser actors. Leave them alone for too long, they get all touchy and start talking about their feelings. We were passing the Bechdel test and advancing none of the plot. There were hardly any panels. That's not my Homestuck. You people are here for logic, systems, weird plot shit, lore, not this. Oh, I'm sorry, was that fourth wall break a little much? Did your disbelief until now so utterly and delinquently and prone to vagrants that it's been suspended indefinitely finally collapse? Go ahead and close the fucking book then. Quit out your browser, slam the laptop closed, and punt it into the ocean. That shark is probably hungry after all the jumping. You won't, though. If you were going to quit, you would have quit before this. We're in this for the long haul, you and I. We'll all go down together. Welcome to Nam. Anyway, where was I? Oh, right. Passing judgment onto my robotic ectodaughter smashing the damn shipping grid to pieces. Really, Rose? Really? Our task of phenomenal cosmic importance isn't going to wait for a dalliance. I've just mastered fine-tuning parasodactyl hooves with the machine and need my co-monarch back. Plus, what would dear sweet Kanaya think? Oh my god, shut up and give us some privacy, nerd. Fine. Be that way. I'll just get a head start on my species then. It's only the fate of a new planet on which the weight of saving the universe lies. If voiding the warranty on a complex piece of machinery is more important to you than all of that, go ahead. I've got better things to do. Chapter 6. A conversation regarding relevance. And we have Calliope. Space is vast. An unproductive statement, almost a tautology. And although tautologies can be worthy thought exercises, they become virtually meaningless when it comes down to the actual transmission of information. I believe it is for that reason most beings don't use them in day-to-day parlance. The lives of many are far too volatile and instinct-driven to want to waste time with saying that which is already true. Tautologies are, in general, reserved for stories, for narrative device, for finding new and inventive ways to tell an audience that which they already know, and at the end of the day are not all diffusions of knowledge, at least somewhat tautologist in nature. In order to recognize the value of my words, you must first know what they mean. You must predict my intentions. But I digress. Arguments with my brother would often dissolve into such nonsense. The shouting of truths back at each other, neither of us ever able to convince the other of the righteousness of our stance. We were never meant to agree. It isn't in our blood. Space is vast. Everyone knows it, but most sentient beings, in their many universes, never have any way or reason to experience it firsthand. Even in societies advanced enough for spaceflight, most people will never leave their atmosphere. When they scoff at my tautology, space is vast, what do they really know? Nothing. As far as any of them have experienced, space does not exist. Very few have stood and looked into the abyss, the true gulf of nothingness that spreads out around the single point of consciousness adrift in a constellation. All the combined weight of sentient endeavor would quail underneath that sheer, irresistible truth. The realization that they are so small, that the universe cares about their puny lives so very little. Sitting in the glowing light of the stars, this becomes even more apparent. Are we out of orange juice? Wait, jade. But it's green jade. So, huh? Are they like talking inside her head? Are you talking to me? Because if you are, I would like to remind you that I hate orange juice. No, you don't. Well, I guess I never really had a strong opinion on it before, but now I can't stand it. It's all you drink. I like the pulp. It's my body and I don't want orange juice. I hate pulp. And I didn't just make that up to spite you. Who wants strings in their juice? I do. Ugh. I realize that Jade's situation is less than ideal from a characterization perspective, but I still politely point out that nobody likes a whiner. Fuck you, rude calliope inside my head. From a characterization standpoint, I think you are pedantic, annoying, and just a general huge drag to be around. Why don't you try being possessed by the spirit of some other version of a good friend of yours and floated around a spaceship full of people you love? Unable to affect anything or say hello to anyone. Then tell me about whiners. I killed my brother and consumed him. Sounds like a you problem. I suggest to the witch that I've spent untold eons in the void between universes, waiting for the moment when I would be needed to prevent the dissipation of reality as we know it. Her appeals to emotion will not help her. I will remain unmoved. Well, I had to watch my boyfriend and my brother die in front of me on a tiny scaled version of a world that I shrunk for them, and then spend the next 3 years talking to myself, racked with guilt that I'd killed them. I remind the witch that my time was in the void, which is far darker and lonelier than a ship full of lizards. I add that it was also eons, a length of time that is traditionally far longer than 3 years. I ask her to excuse my pettiness in pointing it out. You're a member of a species designed for long periods of isolation. I'm a human. Or at least I started out that way. Even if I had the powers of my first guardian, my brain still worked in modules of human pattern recognition. 3 years is a long time for a human teenager. I don't care how many of her molecules are made of a god. I point out that this back and forth is becoming childish and if. Oh my god, stop narrating! Who are you even talking to? The audience, of course. Audience? Ugh. This is so annoying. I can't tell if you're being serious. Your voice is impossible to read, and I can't see your face. Oh. Oh. Oh, thanks. That's better. Of course. You're right that I am being silly, and I didn't mean to start a slap fight over who has suffered more. Clearly, you have been through a lot more than I could ever possibly imagine. You're the same Callie who talked to me and Jane when we were unconscious back in the game, right? There's just a lot of everybody running around, and I guess I haven't been keeping the internal tally that I should have. Yes, that's correct. But I think it is a very natural thing to be silly when you're used to being able to control your own body, but now can't. I will allow that, yes. So I will stop yelling at you. But I reserve the right to start yelling again in the future if I have a good reason. Okay? That seems fair. Jade looks at me with the face I have looked at in the mirror for the last few months on board this vessel without a name. No one can decide what it should be called, possibly due to the comical nature of its construction. For a while, there was an ongoing list of ideas hanging in the common room, but it quickly devolved into a cluster of more and more obscure memes until one day the night tore it down in a fit of pique. Don't ask me to tell you which night, you know which one. Jade smiles. Dave and Carcat will always be a source of pain for her, a low ache somewhere in her center of gravity, but she is happy for them. She knows that there is really no alternative for how to be. They chose each other over her, and they always will. They are the two people who matter to her most in every universe, and that will not change no matter how much she wishes it would, no matter how. Do you actually know that? Pardon me. You actually know that I'm doomed to pine over Dave and Carcat across every iteration of reality? Like, can you actually see that? Because you're a space player like I am. I know that you are more powerful than me, but I don't think you can see other timelines any better than I can. So I think you're just being dramatic for the audience, whatever that means. I experience a moment of unease as Jade looks at me. Keeping her out of my thoughts is proving to be more difficult than I had first assumed it would be. I had begun confident that I could keep her consciousness sleeping peacefully inside the shell of her body, tamed and quiescent. But she has proved to be more erasable than I initially gave her credit for. I have never been particularly tameable, and my consciousness is huge. You are a pretty tough crowd, Evil Callie. But yes, I can hear most of what you're thinking to yourself. It took a little while to separate it from my own thoughts, just like it did with Dirk, because that's what he was doing the whole time, wasn't it? Controlling our thoughts, making us believe things we never would, things he thought we should believe. Ah, and here we are. I had been wondering when we would get to the prince, and Jade's knowledge of the chaos he has wrought within this timeline, and who knows how many others. I assume she realizes exactly how many resources the prince put into keeping her still and asleep, firmly out of the game, so as to prevent granting me access to the universe, in order to foil his campaign of endless hubris. Jade knows all of this, I don't have to tell her. She is a very bright girl, and even if she didn't have partial access to my thoughts, she is good at compiling data and using it to fill in gaps. As she herself had rather licentiously mentioned, her brain is quite large. And all of these reasons are why I know I can count on her to be reasonable and realistic about her situation. I need a body to continue interfacing with this timeline, and her body is the only one that will do. I hear her wonder, what about Kanaya? What about Kanaya? Hey. What about her, Jade? She is a space player, it is true, but her powers are nothing compared to yours. For one, she isn't a god tier, and for two, she is dead. A living dead, but dead nonetheless. And the Sylph's specializations lie on a different end of the spectrum from my own, a witch is a far closer match. No, Jade understands and sympathizes with my assurance that her body and her body alone will do for my purposes. No, I don't. She does. After all, she would not wish this sort of state of being on anyone else, and especially not on one of her friends. Jade may have undergone a lopsided number of narrative hardships in her life, but at least she is used to them. Why spread that suffering to another? Jade understands and accepts her place in the story, which has always been to enable events to play out around her, just as it has been mine. Because what is a story, truly? Nothing but a series of misadventures and connections, actions spurring reactions, tumbling into one another over and over and over. With so many competing interests, clearly the story cannot account for all perspectives, for all threads. It would be laughable, childish, even selfish to demand that they do. In other words, not everyone will achieve a happy ending. This is a truth that Jade had come to grips with a long time ago. Wait, stop. Why are you saying all of this? Jade's body is my vessel, and it is through this realization that she will understand her true role in the story, her true relevance. If I released my hold on her consciousness, there would be no guarantee that I would be allowed in again. Therefore, I cannot permit her the control of herself that she so desperately craves, and she understands that. Wait, so you could give me my body back and then just hop back in when you need to? In theory, yes. And then what the hell, Callie? Because I don't trust you to cooperate when the time comes. Why not? I thought you said I was a reasonable girl with a huge brain. You are, to an extent. She is. But the truth of the matter remains that humans are capricious and emotional, and even Jade herself can admit that she hasn't been the most committed example of her species in the last few years. What is that supposed to mean? Moving from lover to lover, job to job, interest to interest. Over the last few years, Jade had found herself listless, unable to settle and unwilling to commit to anything or anyone. She knows there's nothing wrong with that on a moral level, but on a personal level, she's always believed that she could be more, could do better, be better. And now, because of this, she realizes that sacrifices must be made, and that she, as a space player, is uniquely built for sacrifice. Yeah, I guess you're right. I've been such a silly little slut. Hey, Callie. such an odd, such an odd bit of dialogue. Yes, Jade. Oh my god, what's that? She points off into the darkness. It's nothing, of course. There is nothing here besides the two of us. The space is utterly under my control. Jade could control it too if she had any access to her own powers, but with my grip around her cortex, there is no chance of that. I know there is nothing behind me. She is being silly. But I'm not Dirk Strider. I don't mind indulging the whims of silly girls if it makes them feel better about their situations. There is nothing wrong with humoring. And here I make my first mistake. Up until this point, I have counted on my superior narrative power and class strength to keep her under control. But bringing her into a place where we can both physically manifest has left me foolishly vulnerable. When you are dealing with an epically powerful space player and a former borderline omnipotent being, you forget that even with her powers stripped, she is still quite the formidable physical force. A young woman in the prime of her life, with a canine's instincts and the fierce desire to sink her teeth into something she can tear apart. Right now, that something happens to be me. Her fingers tear at my throat, trying to find purchase. She won't be able to kill me here, but it is certainly unpleasant, and not to mention slightly repetitive. We just saw this in the previous chapter, although this particular fight will not end as amorously as the last one did. So, don't get your hopes up. Who are you talking to? Oh my god, is this what's been happening the whole time in real life? During the ship's trip through space, there have been numerous experiments, modifications to the nutrient output of the various machines designed to create sustenance for the various species on board. I myself have been content with orange juice and synthetic proteins, but Dave and Roxy have both expressed longing for various earth snacks, and so the trials and errors began. Suicide threat? The results were mixed. As Roxy told us in a previous chapter, alchemized food of all sorts tastes the same, although the visuals really help to bring out the flavor. And at the end of the day, isn't it the journey that is more important than the destination? The stories you tell as you create the strangely flavored nutritional paste? Uh-huh. So far, everyone's favorite attempt has been a vaguely peanut butter and chocolate flavored creation called Rice's. Nobody eats them really, they just sit in a bowl on the counter. I'm not actually sure the witch is trying to accomplish here. You don't? Really? I don't know what she is trying to accomplish because surely she would not be doing what it appears she is trying to do, making such a meaningless threat. Meaningless? Do you even know anything about the body you stole? Shouldn't you have to run some sort of psychic physical before you possessed it? It's definitely what I would have done. Jade must know that I am well aware of her family-wide peanut allergy, a story thread that has been extremely important and weighed in on multiple parts of the narrative. How could I have forgotten such a key detail? But, of course, Jade knows that. She's being silly and dramatic. She knows that a suicide threat is utterly meaningless when made by a god. There is nothing remotely just or heroic about dying from self-imposed anaphylactic shock in the throes of a childish tantrum. At the most, I'll get a relaxing few minutes of sleep. Do you really want to risk it? What are you talking about, Jade? I just said, I don't know, Callie. I've never really understood the rules that govern the death of a god tier of you. It seems pretty arbitrary from where I'm standing. Who makes the decision whether or not something is heroic or just? That's unclear, but it certainly isn't you. Right, of course not. But are you so confident that you're a good guy? Are you sure the Alpha Timeline wants you to be here? What? You've done some stuff, Callie. I'm only saying you shouldn't be so quick to assume that me killing you wouldn't be just, and that taking my own life to do it wouldn't be heroic. S? S page? S page?
S page? S page? We got an S page? S page? Homestuck S page? S page? Sound page? Sound flash? Page? Homestuck flash? Sound page?
Alright, let's see what this says. Oh, is this it? That was probably so where do you think that ranks in terms of like maybe like Cascade, Collide, Maybe that's like in third place, right? I don't let the witch manipulate me. I refuse to falter in the face of her whispers. Without my careful planning and swift action, the prince would have taken full control over this timeline. None of my friends could even begin to imagine the turmoil. They aren't your friends. You took them from me. Do you really think any of them would side with you over me? You just keep saying you're doing all of this for my own good, but you're just lonely. I know you are because so am I. If you are so utterly convinced of your virtue, then let me do this. You said that being a space player is all about sacrifice. Well, bet. Uh, what happened? Uh-oh. Oh my. Did she actually stop being possessed? And now Callie is... Oh no! Now both versions of Callie have just been fucking like trapped in a little like void prison. Oh, poor Calliope. Chapter 7, Distress Call from the Closet. Oh, we're back to back to this scenario. Okay. The mood at the scene of the crime is mixed. All three of them would label the main emotion as extreme tension, but that is a concept that means vastly different things to each of them. Vriska, thriving in it, has not felt so decadently alive in a very long time. Tavros has never in his tragic existence felt so close to death, which is surprising to him. Vrissy is trying her best not to grapple with any cosmic truths at the moment, since she is getting a phone call in the middle of hiding for her life. She grumbles to herself a bit before answering. Really? Harry Anderson? A phone call? Asshole's lucky I keep my shit on silent. Hey, Briss, what the fuck? Are you looking at Instagram? Because your, situation is all over the place. Yeah, Harry, I would say we are extremely aware of the situation as it unfolded the fuck around us. I can't believe you actually did that. Oh, can't you? Can you really not? Look, babe, I thought you were joking. Why would anyone believe you had an actual dead religious figurehead in the back of Tavros' car? He makes us scrape dirt off our shoes before we get in. As much as I'm loving watching your mate spread at oh. I thought it was Vrissy talking. God, the fucking text color. I need to start really paying attention to which Vriss is speaking. As much as I'm loving watching your mate spread attempt to squirm out of any responsibility for his dumb shit actions, we should probably get to a getaway part of this backwards heist. Does he have a real plan this time, or are we just gonna try our own luck? Where even are you? This audio sucks shit. It sounds like you were... I couldn't hear you right. We're in the janitor's closet near what you always tell me is the good water fountain, but we can't stay here. And no, you heard it fine. That was just Vriska. Oh, okay. So that part about the other Vriska was true too, I guess. Awesome. Yeah, cool. Normal. You could call Rose and Kanaya, maybe? My moms would either give us a medal or kill us themselves. It's like 50-50 odds. Don't love those numbers, folks. Ugh. And they might be like in the middle of important war shit. So, what we just did was some important war shit. I can't keep up with all you assholes talking at once. Can we just meet back at my mom's place? She shouldn't be at home. Fine. Okay. People are starting to disperse, so if you're gonna make a run for it, now's your shot. Don't get caught. One dream of it, babe. Risk. Christ, what a shit show. They stand up and brush themselves off. There's no time to waste, but there's one final element they've not worked out. Part of the reason Tavros thinks that he's been so game to continue on with the worst plan anyone has ever concocted is that the more bullshit they endure, the longer they can pull off actually doing anything that matters. If he's getting sprayed with a sprinkler and getting clown feet in his face, it's a farce. It can't hurt him. But if they get to the part where he's shoving the uncooperative weight of his uncle's corpse in an incinerator, he will stop floating in protective semi-consciousness above his body and it will all be real. There's no time for an incinerator now, and somehow Tavros realizes reality has caught up with them all the same. All three of them are quiet for a moment while they look down at the body. There is a soft, wet plink as a droplet from his bloody nose hits the tile. So, what do we do about him? I'd prefer to not drag him along any further, if possible. The cat is rather out of the, bag at this point, is it not? Yeah, no real point in wasting time hiding him anywhere better than this. Friska? Yeah. Fuck it, I'm done dealing with him. Finally. Bye, bitch. Mina Carcat, let's go. Trolls are made for the battlefield. From the moment a troll oozes out of the Mother Grub's pulsating sphincter, through the trials of the brooding caverns, across the brutal day-to-day slog of the Alternian society, all the way to their ordeals to the sucking void of space. They are bred for nothing but endless war. But Commander Vantis is different. Dirt-blooded, unclean, descendant of a heretic, he never should have even made it to the surface. He should have been euthanized by a well-meaning jade blood. And if somehow his hideous mutation managed to squeak past, his Lucis should have put him out of his misery. He was, as troll Lana Del Rey would put it, born to die. But he didn't die. He is, despite everything, one of the only Alternia-born trolls left standing. From the humblest of beginnings, he has risen to the highest echelons of achievement. Or so all the pamphlets say. The actual Commander Vantis has blisters on his heel and has been taking pot shots at scouting drones for the last 6 hours. He could use a bath, honestly. Yo, Nubs, is that you? Pretty rank. Oh my god. I flatly refuse to believe that you can smell my natural musk over the stench of blood and burning flesh. I can't think of anything more asinine than you getting on my case about personal grooming on the battlefield. Didn't I warn you about thinking, though? God damn it, Mina. Don't meme at me. People are dying. Oh wow, fuck, you're right. Let me save all my jokes for that specific time in the foreseeable future where we aren't all fighting for our lives. Will that work for you, Commander? If you and the rest of the General's Council hadn't insisted that I stay out of the worst of the fighting, we wouldn't have this problem. Yeah, 'cause he'd be dead. Can't lead every charge. Gotta be realistic, boss. I know that. They've had this argument more than once. In fact, both of them could play either side of it. Karkat has done his time in the field, of course, leading small guerrilla operations to free prisoners and sabotage Crocker supply chains, but Mina and the rest of the council is right, which is why he's here, instead of at the front lines with his rebels where he belongs. His true value is his face, his symbology. At the end of the day, he is a fucking ad campaign. Chime. Boss, check the news. Ah, fuck. What? Jesus Christ. Nubs, I swear to God. It's Gamzee. He's dead. Oh. Well, shit. I can't fucking believe this. You okay? No. You want to talk about it? I know you and Jelly Bulge had a thing. First of all, Jelly Bulge? Yeah, outlawed fish puns. I gotta make my own fun. Gross. And I guess if you can call it an obscenely public pale act performed in a fugue of desperate panic intended to prevent him from murdering all my friends instead of just half of them a thing, then yes, I guess we had a thing. But if you're asking me if I'm sad that he's dead, absolutely the fuck not. I have hated this piece of bubbling, feculent clown flesh for decades. So has everyone else who respects themselves. Rest in the powerful gaze of my eternal loathing. It's not why I'm saying fuck a bunch of times. You need a reason to say fuck a bunch of times? Shut up. Look at the picture. Kind of blurry. What am I supposed to be looking at? In the distance, heavy artillery rolls across the heaving sky. It sounds like thunder, but by now they know the difference. I don't know, Mina. As the pack of kids carrying a dead clown? That's Vriska. Oh yeah. Guess it is. I always knew that fish was gonna grow up shady. What? No, not Vriska Mariam Lalonde. I mean, she's there too. But I'm talking about the other Vriska, my Vriska, from my universe. This Vriska's ancestor. She's here. She a ghost or some shit? I don't think so. I can't see her eyes in this picture, but she's covered in blood and she's carrying Gamzee, so she's corporeal at least. Unless she has a fucking life ring too. How many of those things are there? Okay, but who gives a shit how she got here, Nubs? Maybe focus on the big picture. You're right. Fuck. Crocker Corp CEO Jane Crocker has condemned the assassination as an act of terror and is calling for the perpetrator's arrest. Wait, ain't that a kid there holding up the clown ass? Wow. This article is way too long. I hate war correspondence. Jesus fuck. Okay, here. Of course. Crocker is claiming her son was kidnapped and forced to participate. And they've named me as the mastermind? Well, we would have taken credit for it anyway, so it saves us time. Thanks, Jane. Owe you one. All the fucking ICP profile pictures with the horns. Holy shit, clouds can die, this person says. Bless up, Brother Gamzee. Troll's loyal to Brother Gamzee Makara mourn the loss of cultural icon while decaying Crocker's condemnation is a false flag. Fuck the batter witch and fuck her lies. There's no way her ugly little son wasn't a part of it. Humans are liars, plain and simple. Writing intensifies as the trollish left receives a shot of adrenaline. Rip GM. Hong Kong. Shit. The tide of public opinion is definitely turning against Jane. That's good though, right? That's what we want. What we want is to steer the conversation in our favor so more people join our cause. What we don't want is to give the president an excuse to enact martial law. Shit. Of course this would have to do with fucking circuit. Literal months of planning, hours and hours of logistics, and all of it goes up in smoke because one of spidery asshole. She would find some way to wreck my shit from beyond the grave. Yeah, it sucks. So what are your orders, boss? Boss. That title used to grate on him. Even now, it sends a twinge of discomfort through his gastric sac, but he breathes through it. Now we pivot from the sublime to the ridiculous. I need to talk to Egbert. Harry Anderson has rushed home faster than ever before in his high school career. It doesn't occur to him, once along the way, that he could have provided a less ostentatious getaway car for his friends. It's no matter, they'll make it. He won't allow himself to internalize any other option. He is too busy with these mental gymnastics to notice his father's car parked outside. Oh, hello, John and Roxy. John, Roxy, and Harry Anderson proceed to have
the tail end of a conversation they had before in another medium. Oh, is this from epilogues? Yeah. And he walked in at the end here. Harry Anderson looks two of them, all teary-eyed. Yeah. Wait a fucking second. Like, this conversation is like so heartwarming, and then you just learn this was the context it was happening in. Fucking Harry Anderson is currently like trying to get his friends away from the the eyes of the people after murdering Gamzee. Is so fucking funny. The three fugitives arrive and at Vrissy's direction park in the back. Unsure if it's safe to go inside, they hide in the landscaping and text their contact. Vrissy is no stranger to sneaking in and out of Harry Anderson's window, but the stakes are quite a bit higher now. Are we good to go? Your mom's car is in the driveway. Oh my god. You're not going to believe this, but I got home and my dad was there. What? Because of all this? How the fuck did he find out so fast? No, it was apparently just schmoozing with my mom, if you can fucking believe it. Like you do with your ex when you haven't talked to in years, I guess. His timing is comically bad. It's maybe the funniest shit he's ever done. Anyway, he wrote me into going out for a drive, so sit tight. Are you fucking kidding me right now, Harry Anderson? I know, but no worries. I asked my mom to pick up some snacks, so she'll leave to go to the store in a sec. Just sneak in after she leaves and hide in my room, and I'll be back in a bit. Okay. She's gone. I'll take out the side window with this rock, climb in, and then let you two in the back door. It's go time. Love the enthusiasm, but hold on a goddamn minute. No need to break my boyfriend's window. I have a key, duh. You have a key to Harry Anderson's? Is now really the time to get jealous, Tav? I'm not jealous. It's only that I'd have given one to mine if you wanted. There's a reason we don't make out at your house, Stavros, and it's because the vibes are absolutely fucking rancid in there thanks to your mom. Anyway, that's like 1,000 miles past the point here. Yeah, who cares? Let's move. Room and examine yourself. This is Harry Anderson's room. Heathers. He has a Heathers poster. No fucking way. Is Harry Anderson a theater kid? Oh my god, he has a sewing machine too. Les Miserables. Oh my god, he's a fucking theater kid. A bedroom stands empty. There is no boy standing in this bedroom, or indeed anyone else. However, if the boy whose bedroom it was were here, one might remark that his name was Harry Anderson. And fuck, one might say, does he like musical theater? He has been in his fair share of school plays, but he has lofty aspirations to star in bigger and better productions. He especially appreciates modern musical remakes of classic old Earth movies. It's a craze that not everyone is happy about, but in the absent boy, they have found a devoted fan. There is also just enough overlap between his taste and his father's to allow for somewhat stilted conversational bonding from time to time. The boy, who is not yet here, has also been known to dabble in accessorization. He could be described as a cobbler aspirant, a neophyte milliner, or even a bit of a whiz with a needle and thread. His mother got him his first sewing machine when he was 10 to keep him from using hers all the time. His looks are handcrafted, often imitated, but never duplicated. His costumes appear in various amateur productions, the devising of which takes up most of his free time. His friends are usually less appreciative of his attempts to dress them up than he would like, though. While it is full of these important details and more, the room still stands empty, but very soon it will remain unstood in no longer. Getting there is uneventful. There are no barking dogs, no traps, no lurking observers. The thrill of success is short, and it isn't long until they're waiting agonizingly through the slow thickness of time. They have nothing to do but wait. Wow, her moment in the spotlight is really making the rounds. May I look? I turn my phone off immediately upon aiding and abetting murderers, since Mother most certainly has tracking capabilities for it. So I haven't seen everything. I haven't seen anything. Eat your heart out, Tav. Wow, that is quite a lot of attention. It's getting a bit surreal to see my frozen mask of horror on every news site. It's a good shot of you, though, Frissy. It really is shockingly well composed. And the filter doesn't wash me out. Not bad for a human photographer. I checked the kids' profile, and they're really pretty decent. Maybe if we all survive this, I'll look them up and see if they need new models. That's the spirit. How long is this going to take? I know John is all depressed and long-winded now, but surely he should have dropped his precious boy back home by now. These are crucial minutes they're wasting. Oh, is trying on all my boyfriend's accessories not passing the time well enough for you? Desperate times call for desperate measures, Rissy. And this is some dire shit. They stare each other down. Did she mean the fugitive situation or Harry Anderson's fashion choices? Rissy feels silly wondering this, but despite the situation they're in, she can't help but feel more acutely anxious about Vriska's presence. She likes her life, and she trusts her own choices, but now, looking at everything from Vriska's vantage point, it all feels silly, unimportant, childish. She can't tell if she wants Vriska to rip in to Harry Anderson, or if she wants her to stay silent, to put off the moment where she has to defend him or join in. Hello, Harry Anderson. Luckily, Harry Anderson opens the door and puts off any fraught decision-making for the moment. He kisses Rissy's temple and she leans into the warmth of him. Aren't you a sight for sore eyes? So sorry it took so long. Can't rush a heart-to-heart. You know how it is. You actually had a heart-to-heart with your dad? How many times did he cry? None, actually. I think he got that over with when he was talking to my mom. But God, it was a mess. I had to keep talking to him. To keep him from looking at his phone or turning on the radio. I may have told him more about my deep passions and emotions in the last hour than the whole rest of my life combined, just to keep him from hearing the fucking news. Which, by the way, is a complete clusterfuck. They're asking for tips about your location, blasting the photo everywhere. All of it. Great shot of you, though, babe. And Tav actually held his own. Absolute madman. And you too, Vriska. Nice to meet you, by the way. I see you're enjoying my collection of scarves. Yeah. Are we all here and acquainted now? Great. What's next? John Egbert has not had a day like this in a very long time. He can barely keep track of the series of epiphanies he's having. He stretches out on his couch to relax and process the gifts of advice and connection his friends and family and ex-family have just given him. He's in the middle of wondering if it's even possible to reach further depths of insight when his phone rings. John! Hey, Carcat. Great timing. So much just happened and I'm kind of reeling about it. Yeah, no shit! So is Harry Anderson safe? Huh? Yeah, I just dropped him back at Roxy's. Why? Thank fuck. I didn't see him in the picture, but this is, and no offense meant to your genetics, the exact kind of bullshit I would have expected him to get himself haplessly involved in. Not sure how Vriska, Miriam Lalonde, and Tavros even got into it without his deft touch. Except, of course, I do, because fucking Vriska. None taken, but what are you even talking about? Vriska or Friska? John! Is something going on? I just spent the afternoon with my son, and I think he would have told me if something was up with his friends. Oh, my luscious shitting Christ, John, listen to me. Listening. Are you in front of a TV? Well, yeah, actually. John, I'm begging you to turn it on. Any fucking channel will do. John takes it in silently. The slain clown, the teen fugitives. He looks so happy. The self-righteous political spin. God, the photo of his son's friends, actual goddamn Vriska circuit, and a very clearly dead Gamzee, doused in a cascade of tepid public school fire sprinkler water, the flash from the alarms illuminating them in holy fluorescence. It's the stupidest, the most dangerous, and the most beautiful thing he has ever seen. The absurd joy of it bubbles up in his chest and out of his mouth in the most genuine fit of laughter John has felt in years. And now that he's started it, he can't stop. John, are you seeing it? John can't answer. He can't speak. His body has given itself over to the long-lost feeling of manic euphoria. It had felt like Harry Anderson was holding something back on the drive earlier, but he had already told John so much. He hadn't wanted to press for more. It's not fucking funny, Egbert! John can't breathe. Something is happening. Something is finally fucking happening, and he's finally awake enough to appreciate it. More hinges on this than just the lives of these teenagers, which should be enough for you to take seriously, but apparently not. John, this is a linchpin moment for the entire system. This could be how we lose, John. John wheezes himself into relative calm. He has to get Karkat to understand. He clears his throat and breathes. Karkat, this can be how we win. I know what we need to do. I love that John was just so fucking tired of the events of the epilogues that, like, even this crazy shitstorm, he's just like, oh my fucking god, thank god, oh my god, thank god something is happening. Chapter 8, A Daughter Astray. Assassinations? Open warfare? So-called revolution? And where has everyone gone? They've abandoned me. They've taken our precious son. And now... Good gravy! Even my former BFFC's home has become a pit of vipers. Oh, Jake, are you the only loyal one left? Clown killer kids. This is just delicious. Your sorry ass is serving my ailing soul 3 Michelin stars worth of irony right now, English. I'm slurping this shit up like it's a piping hot bowl of udon. Itadakimasu. Ahem. Look here, Janie. Things might seem a bit maudlin right now, but I'm sure there's some explanation for all the chicanery afoot. Wouldn't it be good to drop them a wire, pull a few strings, and set up a good old chinwag to see, so we can all hash it out like a cozy cabal of bosom pals? Jake, you're sweet. Foolish, empty-headed, deluded by hope, a slave to your instincts, but sweet. Now is not the time for sweet, said the former baking empress. But, jeepers, Janie, the way you make it sound, you couldn't possibly mean... Oh, but I do. It's time I gave the rebellion their just desserts. But I thought you said now wasn't the time for... It's an expression, Jake. Here's another. An eye for an eye. Once we have rescued our son from their clutches, I'm going to take something of my own. Something as valuable to the rebellion as Tavi is to me. 2 can play at the hostage game. That loathsome daughter of theirs should fit the bill nicely. And those naughty rebels will cease this unruly tantrum and do what they are told. Jake. Kids converse. Oh. It's been a while since we've seen like a double dialogue panel. This is an interesting way of doing it, actually. I kind of like this. How it's like this conversation going on over here and this conversation going on over here. But like the last time we saw something like this was in the main comic with the Alpha Kids, and it was like two physically completely different locations. But I like this way of representing, like, it is the same room, but there's just like two different conversations happening. So, Vriska, hello, one and all. I mean, yeah, that's me. I've heard a lot about you. My name's Harry Anderson Egbert, but my friends just call me Harry Anderson. And what do incredibly hot and badass alien girls call you? Because there's no way I'm saying Harry Anderson every time. That's like 8 whole letters too long. From now on, your name is just Harry. Okay. Great. So, what's your deal, Harry? If I had to bet, I'd say you're the thing that has pupated after a barbaric act of human sexual intercourse between John and some Lalonde or other. Okay. Ew. I do not want to think about that. Too bad, Chief. It's basically all I've been dealing with today. Welcome back, Vriska. Your friends have spent the last who knows how many sweeps producing an army of freakish offspring, all while steadily getting uglier and less cool. Lol. Got him. But, yeah. John and Roxy are my parents. Ugh. Parents. I didn't care about all this alien shit when John first tried to tell me about it, and I definitely don't care anymore. What? I don't know. I've just never talked to a troll who didn't grow up around humans. You sound like Vrissy, but if Vrissy was from like... Okay, so have you ever seen the musical Calamity Jane? I guess you probably haven't. But, so there's this part at the beginning where the title character comes back from Chicago and she talks to all the old-timey locals about how bizarre and newfangled everything was, and God, it really is like talking to teenage John all over again. No, I haven't seen Chastity Jane or whatever the stupid title was. Sounds like a total snooze. And anyway, what are you trying to say? That I sound outdated? There were no humans on Alternia, okay? There were no humans and no human musicals in my entire universe. Sounds like a horrible place. Yeah, it blew so unbelievably hard. And while we're at it, don't compare me to Vrissy either. She's no better than the rest of you. She's soft, I can tell. None of you weenies could have survived even a day back where I came from. I bet I would have. No way, kid. I mean, I can tell that you think you're hot shit, and I can respect reckless bravado, but only if you can back it up. I can back it up. Oh yeah? Ever killed anybody? Ever thrown a punch? Well, no. I mean, we've done stage fighting before, but never the real stuff. But I bet I could learn. I threw kickboxing with my mom for a month and a half when I was 9. Well, at least you aren't a coward. I've known guys softer than you, believe it or not. John, for instance, he totally freaked out the first time I told him I killed somebody. That sounds like my dad. He came through, though, I guess, when it actually counted. He was there to punch me in the face when I needed it most. Wait, like, literally? Yep. Harry doesn't know what to think about this past version of his father. He knows the stories, the legends, the lore. He's seen John's old fetch modi, the ugly blue pajamas, and all the hammers. Most of them are in museums. That his parents are literal gods has always been a basic fact about his family life, about as interesting as who sits where at the dinner table. It's all normal to him. Every detail of that part of his parents' lives has always seemed to lie on the other side of an insuperable barrier, cut off from the people they are now. Harry had always assumed that this dividing line was simply an effect of the passage of time. Being boring and two-dimensional just seemed like it came with the territory when you were an adult. But now he's not so sure. Ever since hearing that one of his dad's old friends had turned up, that border between past and present has felt fainter by the minute. And as they talk, he begins to think that Vriska seems so much fresher, more real, an actual authentic, bona fide god from another universe. Harry can't imagine his dad even talking to someone like her, let alone punching her in the face. Freaking out about murder, though? That's definitely something Harry can see his father doing. And speaking of which, not to cast doubt on any of these stories about my dad that you're telling me, Vriska, but he's probably going to freak out a little bit about this whole clown situation, as well as you even being here. John already knows I'm here, numbnuts. And as for the stuff with Gamzee, no, listen, I mean the fact that you're here, the fact that you're involving any of the rest of us. My mom probably won't be happy about this either. I'm not allowed one Vriska in my bedroom. I don't even want to think about how much trouble I'll be in if she finds out I had 2 of them up here. Oh my god, and you expect me to believe you'd survive on Alternia? Well, I'm not there right now. Right now, I'm in my mom's house with my girlfriend, her boyfriend, and another goddamn version of my girlfriend, and all of us are probably now on the run from the fucking government. Okay, so you're freaking out about it now. Cool. Of course I'm freaking out, Vriska. I'm freaking out what I think is probably a good amount about this. The fashionable amount of freaking out. The coolest possible amount of freaking out to be doing about the present situation is the amount of freaking out I'm doing right now. But my dad isn't cool. He just spent like an hour driving me around in his car and talking about emotions and stuff. He's going through some kind of personal epiphany at the moment. He even shaved off his mustache before coming here. This is really serious, and now I'm implicated in it as well. You guys were at my school, so he'll realize immediately that you were just trying to meet up with me. He's gonna absolutely flip his fucking lid if he ever finds out about this. Or worse, it might just make him as miserable as before, and he'll be really disappointed at me, and then he'll just leave again or something. And that's not even to mention, Harry is not even able to mention the thing he was about to mention because at this exact moment, his phone starts ringing. Because Jellicles can and Jellicles do, Jellicles do, and Jellicles can, Jellicles can, and Jellicles. I think that's fucking Cats. I've never watched or listened to Cats, so I don't know how this goes. But I know that Jellicle is a word from Cats. Ah, fuck. It's him. All right, what were Vrissy and Tavros talking about? Check it out. Someone's already cosplaying my fit from today. I'm sure it's very good, but there's... Good? It's infuriating. Ugh. So many fake accounts pretending to be me. Stealing my hard-earned clout. Fakey fake fakes. So, not that it isn't important, but we really should talk about... Damn right it's important, Tavros. Image is about as important as it gets. If you understood that a little better, maybe we'd have gotten to third base already. What? Brissy, we haven't even... My point exactly. Oh, I see. Just a wee joke to lighten the mood, or something. Bingo. Relax, Tavi. You're starting to sweat nervously. You know I hate it when you sweat nervously. Thank you. That wasn't a fucking hate man's compliment. I do genuinely hate it, and not in a fun way. Oh, sorry. Whatever. I'm just being a bitch. Forget about it. The 2 of them seem to be getting along. You mean Harry Anderson and Vriska? No, Tavros, the other 2 people in the room with us. Yes, Harry Anderson and Vriska. They seem like a bunch of pals already. I'm glad. You don't sound happy about it. Not happy? Tavros, I'm over the fucking moon about this. See? I'm smiling so hard my face hurts. It does look like it hurts, yes. This is great. This is all great. It's all just great. The way she just cannonballed into our lives out of nowhere was great. Killing that clown with that
a doubt the best thing I've ever fucking seen. Dragging his body through Harry Anderson's school, being drenched in water, and hiding in a closet. The picture of greatness incarnate.
I might be imagining it, but I believe I detect a mere smidgen of insincerity in the way you're describing these events.
But, the greatest thing of all, it's the fact that they can just stand there and chat like it's not even a big deal.
Is it a big deal? Other than the various ways in which basically everything right now could be said to constitute a deal that is somewhat developed in the sense of bigness?
Of course it's a big deal. I mean, just look at them.
I am looking, but I do not see it. Whatever it is about the two of them that you want me to be observing. I cannot help but note, though, that you seem a little on edge about something, similar to how you get when there are people who you would describe as uncool in the general vicinity, other than me, I mean, or when someone who you were mutuals with on some social media site or other follows you, betraying what I can only assume it is a sacred bond of trust, and it makes me wonder if this might be another such occasion when some unspoken social contract has been shamelessly torn asunder.
Okay, fine. You make a good point, Tavros. I just... Vriska.
Okay. Would it make you feel any better if I pretended to be surprised about that?
Bite me.
Listen, I know you don't like to talk about these kinds of things. Having said, on previous occasions, stuff like feelings are for adults and babies, not real people. And I'm not necessarily saying that you have some unaddressed feelings, but maybe if we're going to be around her, you should try to be honest about the feelings that you don't have.
Tavros, it's nothing. I mean, okay, look. Much as I hate to admit it, you're right. Her being here, it makes me feel something. It's something about the way she looks at him. The rest of us, too. Like, we're not even real.
Yes, this is good.
Ever since she showed up, it's been obvious that nothing here matters to her. Like, I don't matter. And to be honest, I think I understand why. Everything here is so dweebish and boring.
This is a good level of honesty that you're displaying here. I'm absorbing everything you're saying in a very non-judgmental way.
And with her being here, talking to Harry Anderson, I get this sort of frustrated feeling in my chest. And if I hated to say why, if I had to say why,
you can do it.
I guess it would be because
you're worried Harry Anderson thinks she's cooler than you because you're jealous.
Wait. What? No. Tavros, were you listening to anything I was just saying? I'm not worried about Harry fucking Anderson right now. Hell, I'm so unconcerned that I think I'm gonna start just calling him Harry from now on. I'll save everyone a lot of valuable time. Listen, Tavros, Vriska will get bored of Harry in a heartbeat. That's the whole point. She shouldn't be wasting her time on someone like him. She should be talking to me. I mean, just forget it. What were you trying to tell me about?
Oh, right. Yes, you should probably come and take a look out the window. We appear to be in, if you'll pardon the expression, a bit of a fudging pickle.
Harry, pick up. More ringtone. Uh-oh. What are the... John and Roxy back? Uh-oh. Okay, everyone. My dad's calling. If he finds out you're here, then he will definitely put two and two together, so please just keep quiet and let me do the talking. Sure thing. Hi, Dad. Hi, John. Hi, Mr. Egbert.
God damn it. Um, so I guess first of all, hello, son. I am so very proud of you. That felt good to say. Or to yell, I guess. Sorry about that, Harry Anderson. I just didn't think I'd be seeing your handiwork all over the news quite so soon. So, you know about it. Yep. You think I wouldn't have recognized your school? Right. And you're not, like, mad about the dead body and Friska and stuff? Son, it looks like you tried to pull one of the biggest pranks I can think of, and it backfired. Yeah. Yeah. But that's okay. It could have happened to the best of us. Okay, so maybe it wasn't the most original idea, and you should probably have steered clear of such a blatant nod to Weekend at Bernie's without seriously planning some of the logistics in advance. I know that they make it seem so easy in that movie, but it's important to remember that not everything on the big screen translates easily to real life, especially when dead bodies and clowns are concerned. But these are all mistakes that any amateur prank master has to make sometime. And besides, you managed to keep quiet about it, and the whole time we were chatting earlier, I was completely fooled. But you had to get one up on the prankster's gambit against me someday. Honestly, feels like an early birthday present or something. So, I guess what I'm saying is, you should be proud of yourself. Okay, Dad. Thanks. So, you still at your mother's house? Yeah, I couldn't think of where else to go. You obviously just heard, but both Friskas are here. Tavros, too. I think the girls are fighting. I don't really know. It's very confusing due to the fact that there are, well, two of them. Yeah, I think two Vriskas is more than enough for anybody. Two Vriskas is nothing. When I was your age, I lost count of all the Vriskas I had to keep track of. It's probably some preposterous number. And Tavros, is he okay? I think so. He seems his usual self. Now, Harry Anderson, I know that you and Tavros haven't always gotten along, but I'm going to have to ask you to try and look out for him for the time being. Your Uncle Jake and I, well, I'll explain later. Let's just say that Gamzee isn't the only family member Jane is losing today. Dad, if you wanted me to kill Tavros, you only had to ask. Couldn't resist. Can you see out of your window? Yeah, I'm looking right now. The place is heaving with reporters. I thought so. The press didn't take long to come to the same conclusion I did. You're on the news already. Oh, it wasn't John and Roxy, it was the fucking news. And it's the same story here. People with cameras are crawling all over the yard, which means Jane's secret police are there too. The drones won't be far behind. Ah, fuck. Sorry, facts. Harry Anderson Egbert. The word fuck was invented for moments like this. But anyway, you need to get out of there. Fast. Try to create some kind of distraction or something and then head for the bell tower. You mean the one they hang the Dirk Strider Memorial effigy from every year? Yes, that's the place. I'll meet you guys there. Okay, Dad. Oh, and Harry? Just some small pieces of advice, some guidance that any budding prankster or newly fledged fugitive should know. Don't panic. Don't make a scene. And whatever you do, don't get caught. High above the clouds. Rose and Kanaya. In candy, not in meat. Two commanders stand on the bridge of a rebel ship. The Meriam Lalons are characters of legend, beheld not in awe, but in fascination, and this place of command is for them like a stage. All around them bubbles the hustle and bustle of an army on the boil, 100 ready hands dashing to and fro with the frantic busywork of battle. In amongst the confusion, they occupy a solitary vacuum, an oasis of calm amid the storm. As the world seethes with the acid sting of war, they have stood steadfast and resolute. When hope has seemed at its most distant, they have shone as a beacon of possibility. Individually, they represent immeasurable gains for the rebel faction. The rebellion's stratagems have never had a fiercer bite. Their uniforms have never looked so fucking sharp. But it is together, united, that their true strength is made apparent. Their bond, a union of love between troll and human, is not only a foundation for the rebel cause, but an integral symbol of its purpose. And now, deep in enemy territory, in this moment of intolerable anguish and suspense, these two symbols stand firm, unshakable, immovable, nay, even unflappable. Well, almost. Try calling her again. I have tried, but she's not picking up. What about Harry Anderson or Tavros? Kanaya, nobody is answering. Rose, I feel like I must sink to the level of stating the obvious, but this is terrible. This is awful. This is just... I can't think of any more related adjectives. It's... Kanaya, I don't want to resort to idle, baseless platitudes, so I won't. I don't understand what's going on any more than you do, and I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Rose, our daughter is in danger, and we are powerless to help her. I do not understand why this is happening or what precise series of events led to this predicament, but I doubt that they are directly or indirectly your fault. I feel like your apologizing is serving as the very baseless platitude which you sought to avoid. No, I know, dear. I just wish I had the answers. My useless powers aren't being any help, and what's worse, I can't see anything. I can't see anything useful on this stupid news channel. I think it's a cruel irony that we are forced to depend on Crocker's branded coverage of our daughter's headhunting. Not to mention, the quality of this broadcast leaves something to be desired. I know that we are enemies, but I really expected better of such a shrewd businesswoman. Excuse me, ma'ams. I just don't understand what Vriska is doing there in the first place, forgetting the fact that Gamzee's dead for a moment. No, I can't do that. They've just started showing the pictures of him again. Ugh. God. For once, I thought his putrescent corpse does nothing to quell my anxiety. If I could just take a moment of your time. It's a matter of some urgency. This is all so upsetting. I cannot even find satisfaction in his death. Not when they have started using it as justification to call our daughter a terrorist. And all that is without even mentioning the fact that somehow... The other Vriska is already also here. Ma'ams, I have an urgent report to deliver. Please forgive my yelling. The reconnaissance team is back early, ma'ams. The ship docked a few moments ago. And the scouting party? I expect she's zipping her way up here now, ma'am. She'll be here any minute now. Ugh. Uh-oh. Candy Jade? Jade? Oh, thank God. We weren't expecting you to get back so soon. What is going on down there? What happened to the rest of your scouting party? What is another Vriska doing here? Where is John? Where is Dave? Where is our daughter? Rose, I think we must try to remain calm and give Jade a chance to answer our queries, difficult though it may be in this moment of intolerable anguish and suspense. Yes, of course. Jade, it is okay. Please, take your time. We don't have any time. It's too late. Jane's forces were just too fast. Oh, no. You don't mean... They've taken her. They've taken YIFFY. Jade and Rose explain everything, so this is also explaining to me what the fuck YIFFY is. Jade and Rose explain everything. Huh? Okay. While Jade and Rose are busy relieving that moment of intolerable anguish and suspense, let's check back in with the kids for a moment. Planning their escape is going about as well as you might expect. We appear to be, in no uncertain terms, completely surrounded. I don't wish to come across as pessimistic, but it's hard to see what possibilities we have for a plan of escape. There has to be something we can do. My dad is counting on us to get out of here and meet with him. Well, I'm also not wishing it to be rude, but it's okay, Tavi. I don't give a shit about being rude. Harry, your dad's plan fucking sucks. There's no easy way out of this. It was simple enough to tell us to escape, but we're the ones that have to actually do it. And that advice he gave you, it was all a load of meaningless bullshit. Don't get caught. Yeah, no shit. Okay, wow. Firstly, I know this is a stressful predicament, but I think that's going a bit too far. My dad believes in us, and if he thinks there's something we can do, then there has to be a way. It's the only possibility. Okay, how about this for an alternate explanation? Your dad is giddy and high on the thrill of something interesting happening in his life for once. I don't believe this. I've been waiting for my dad to start talking to me again for what feels like forever. You know that. You could just be happy for me this one time. Oh my God, Harry Anderson. I know you spent so much time crying in your date night popcorn about this, but please give it a break. Just listen to me for once. This isn't about your hangups with your dad, okay? We're in the middle of a war that is in some part his fault. And instead of taking responsibility and acting like a grown-up, he decided to rope us all into this insane game he thinks he's playing. Firstly, I don't think that's fair. Uncle John isn't to blame for this. Yeah, no shit, Tav. This whole situation because you're insane Hitler mom. Okay, now that was uncalled for. Yeah, Harry, not cool. Oh, what? So you're just gonna pretend like his mom isn't a literal dictator? He doesn't need you to stick up for him, Bressy. He's fucking loaded. Harry, of all of our families are obscenely wealthy. We're standing in your mom's boutique living room. You can't exactly play a privilege card here. And Tavros, you don't have to defend Mr. Egbert just because you feel weird about him trying to kidnap you that one time. If anything, you should be on my side here. John's clearly got a track record of doing anything for a moment of excitement without thinking about the consequences. And look, what happened? Remember what he did on Harry's birthday at that one time? I told you that in the strictest confidence. Tavros, he could have killed you. Why else do you think you're such a wimpy, traumatized baby? Okay, that isn't the reason for that, and I feel like your implied concern for my childhood well-being is less sincere than it is an attempt to weaponize something difficult for me in order that you can win an argument with Harry Anderson. Will you all just shut up? I feel like I'm going fucking insane. Is it Weepy Wiggler Tantrum Hour, or are the three of you always this pathetic? Just keep quiet for a moment while I insult you some more. Vrissy, you're cool and all, but I'm getting tired of this teen nonsense. John's advice totally blows, but at least he understands what needs to be done. Don't insult my friends, only I get to do that. Tavros, stop being such a wimp. Nobody has time for this pansy clownery. Do you remember what happened the last clown I had to deal with? Yeah, I thought so. And Harry, listen. Neither you nor your friends have anything really important going on. Your lives and your planet are a total bore. But somehow John loves you anyway. Try to be fucking grateful for that every once in a while. Not everyone is so lucky. Anyway, forget his advice. John wasn't counting on you to get us out of this. He was counting on me. So from now on, everyone just follow my lead and do what I say. And if that doesn't sound like a good enough deal to you, then just stay out of my way. All right. I'm glad you can at least recognize when a grown-up is talking. Harry, go to your room. What? No. You're not my mom. And nobody is more grateful for that fact than me. You need to arm yourself, stupid. None of you have a way to fight. Oh, here, take this. What is it? It's your stupid face, is what it is. Just kidding. It's a spare strife specibus. You want to prove you'd make it on Alternia? Take this and go grab a weapon. Meet us back here in a minute. What? A minute, God. Why did you say it like that? A minute, God. All right, I'm going. Go grab a weapon. Thespian's glamour began pestering adamant griftress. Oh my God. We haven't seen their tags yet, right? I don't think so. All right, I'm back in my room. There's just one small problem. I don't think I own any weapons. There's the prop swords in my closet, but they're all made of foam and plastic. Ugh, this is so hard. Hey, dumbass, why are you messaging me from your bedroom? We are literally in the same house. We were just in the same argument. Yes, I know. Sorry about that. The argument, I mean. It's whatever. I didn't mean to get so mad at you and Tavros. Well, maybe I did mean to get so mad at Tavros, but I still feel bad about it. Everything's just been so stressful today. Harry, I said it's whatever. Okay, but I need your help here. I only have a minute, and I can't think of anything to assign to the Strife Specibus. Can't you ask Vriska if she has any ideas? No. I'm not gonna bother with her with such a pointless question. And besides, I think she's busy right now. She's sort of huddled in a corner muttering to herself. Huh. Maybe she's nervous? Either that or... I don't think she's nervous, but it reminds me how you get sometimes when you're practicing your lines over and over. Huh. Okay, weird. Time's ticking, Harry. Fuck, I'm still all out of ideas. Ugh, come on. There's bound to be something up there. Anything can be a weapon if you know how to use it. That's easy for you to say, on account of all the actual weapons you have in your room. Look, Harry, just because I happen to own a lot of incredibly deadly armaments doesn't mean I couldn't improvise if necessary. It's part of what makes me badass enough to be a member of the rebellion. Blah, blah, blah. Anyway, you've got a bunch of sewing stuff in your room, right? Yeah, feel free to skip to the part where you make fun of me for it. No, dong face, I wasn't going to. Oh, then I don't understand. You need a weapon, remember? Oh! Roll times 8. Harry examines sewing table. Okay, there's a bunch of sharp things here. Pity you aren't one of them, lol. Oh, har har. So, what are we working with? It's mostly just pins and needles. I doubt they'll be much good. Are you kidding? Needles are awesome. They're what my mom uses. She could probably skin you alive with a pair if she wanted. Well, I don't doubt that, but maybe not this type of needle. Come on, you know you want to. No, that would be dumb. These things are way too small. I'd be the world's worst acupuncturist or something. I think I'll just go with this pair of scissors instead. Boo. Harry acquires scissors. Scissor strife specibus could be pretty fucking cool. You capsulog your trusty pair of sewing scissors. You've brought many a colorful character to life with these babies. You're pretty sure you could bring just as many to death with them as well. Scissor kind. Select scissor kind. Okay, there we go. I knew all along that you had it in you. So I guess this means I've allocated the strife specibus with the scissor kind abstratus. Using this weird vocabs and stuff feels, well, weird. I'm not sure why, but it seems as though everything that's about to happen is that much more important now. Or maybe it already was, but I just didn't understand just how important until this moment. Sometimes maybe all you need to bring a feeling home to you is some nonsense sounding words that possibly don't mean anything. This is what we learned in the theater.
Sounds fake as shit to me.
Well, yeah. I think it's just a sense, but I have a feeling it's going to be. Blah. Never mind. Lost my train of thought.
Okay, well, it can't have been that important. But either way, we don't have any more time for this. Hurry back downstairs. Frisk is waiting.
I was literally just about to say how, like, this feels so Homestuck Act 1, the way that it was the pester logs and, you know, the actual, like, tags being used and walking around the room, picking stuff up, allocate your striped specimens, all that stuff. And then, yeah, that's exactly what it was saying here. I have a feeling it's going to be a long day. So this is essentially saying, oh, wow, hey, we're in Act 1 again. I'm gonna just go ahead and say this. I like how the story is like looping back in on itself and sort of doing another reset. I don't know if it needs to be pointed out to us so constantly all the time. Like, hey guys, do you get it? Do you get it? Do you get what's happening? Do you get how we're like referencing Homestuck? Do you get what the reference? What the reference? Like, yes, Beyond Canon, I understand what's happening. Everyone, congregate. Okay, I think I'm as ready as I'm ever going to be, which isn't really saying very much. How about you guys?
Well, in simple terms, we're fucked. We still don't have a way out, and more reporters are showing up every second. And the moment we step outside, we're targets for the Crocker cops. We must evade them at all costs. They are, with some certainty, under orders to capture Vrissy, and also me. And I'm not sure whose punishment is likely to be worse.
How are you holding up, Tavros?
Me? Quite well, Harry Anderson. Thanks for asking.
Okay.
However, I must admit, the thought of our impending pursuit and potential capture makes my blood run cold.
Yeah. The more I think about it, the more nervous I feel. I had stage fright before, but this is ridiculous. Look, Tavros, in case we don't make it out of this, I just wanted to say that I'm so...
All right. Are we done here?
Forget it. I've been stuck in this room for what feels like a month. I'm at my fucking limit. I'm out of here. But you can't just...
Vriska, we're trapped. How are we supposed to leave?
You guys are free to do whatever you want, but I'm just going to use the front door.
Excuse me?
Later, bitches. Oh my god. There she goes.
Vriska, wait. I'm coming too.
Oh, fucking Christ.
Join live from a neighborhood in the Carapacian Kingdom where the perpetrators have finally decided to show their faces. Are alleged to have killed the beloved salvational figure Gamzee Makara. May his boots jingle forever in paradise.
This is awful. Denounced by government sources as a band of violent rebellion extremists,
Children of creators, themselves rebellion leaders. Outfits could be best be described as only moderately fashionable. Oh god, oh god, oh god, oh god.
Hey, excuse me, Miss Terrorist. Care to give a statement? No, don't. Thought you'd never ask, buddy. You want a statement? Got one right here. Ahem. Hey, hi, humans. What's up? Get all your fucking news grubs turned up to the max, because I'm only going to say this once. Do you know who I am? My name is Vriska Circuit, and I'm the creator this world never knew it had. I left my home behind and put a stop to the demon who burned 2 universes for fuel. Also, this planet could come into existence. Without me, none of you would even be here. Capiche? Now,
You may have heard people saying a lot of things about us. They want you to believe that we are violent terrorists who want to destroy your religion and your very way of life on this planet you call home. So I just want to take a moment to clarify the situation. You fucking bet we are. I've done and seen things that would make every single one of you piss yourselves dead. So I've seen enough to know that this planet is a fucking disgrace. It's a joke. Not even a very good one. This planet is a sad little joke of a world squatting inside the biggest, lamest joke in the history of existence. You know, I bet nobody here even knew who I was. Everything I did for you. You didn't need some idiot clown to redeem you. Everything you needed was already here because I fucking built it for you. And after all that, you couldn't even have the decency to be boring and nice to each other. So guess what? The carnival is over. I killed the Harlequin son of a bitch, and I hope he burns in clown hell forever. But for the crime of falling to his disgusted lies, your society, no, your whole planet, it deserves to burn straight into mega hell, and I'm gonna be the first to fly it there. I'm gonna shatter your paradise into pieces with my bare hands and shit in its grave. How's that for a fucking statement? You got all that, Jane Crocker? Do you understand what's coming for you? You've messed with Vriska fucking Circuit. And she has had enough. Vriska, snap. Snap? Snap. She's God tier. She's going God tier. A whole bunch of things start happening at once. Here are just a few of them. In the blink of an eye, Vriska is airborne. She has evidently, and by her own admission, had enough. She reaches out with incredible speed and grabs the microphone that was brandished at her a moment before. In one smooth motion, she helicopters it around her head by the cord and sends it hurtling into the faces of witness journalists whose needling questions had been so irritating. He sprawls in the driveway, 2 rivulets of red starting to spring from his expertly broken nose. From its hole in the wall of Roxy's house, the bullet that flew over Vriska's shoulder seethes with indignant rage, furious to have missed such an easy shot. It is swiftly joined there by half a dozen more. The secret police has begun to open fire with a vengeance, if not a great deal of accuracy. Even before her first victim hits the deck, Vriska is already winding up a punch to the jaw of the next. She has wedged some of the signature octahedral dice between her fingers as makeshift knuckle duster. There is a deliciously pointed crunching noise when her fist connects. In his hiding place behind a moderately sized garden gnome, Tavros Cocker lets out a small rodential squeal and puts his hands in front of his eyes. Fearing gunfire, the few paparazzi who aren't currently getting their asses handed to them by the world's angriest traffic cone start to trip over each other, diving for cover. A small fortune's worth of very expensive recording equipment is dropped and promptly shattered on the ground in the ensuing scuffle. The instantaneous loss of such a large sum of money causes a substantial drop in the ambient air pressure and conjures up a stiff breeze. Tucked inside of a small yet accommodating shrub, Harry Anderson worries that he might be forgetting how to breathe. He takes a series of gasps, in and out, just to be sure, and clutches his scissors very tight. The stiff breeze comes in at a cheerful 5 on the Beaufort wind force scale. Fresh. Tavros wishes he had chosen a bigger gnome. Bullets continue to fly stupidly wide, and Vriska tosses her dice into the air without even looking. In a single beat of her fairy wings, she zips over to a nearby car, reaches underneath the front fender, and lifts. The fluoride octet tumble end over end, and the gunshots seem for a moment to coalesce into the sound of a thunderous roulette. Vriska is now holding the car end on above her head, its burglar alarm wailing in protest. In a dance-like motion, she spins in space once, twice, before loosing the vehicle skyward like an Olympian might a hammer. The press are fleeing for their lives, for their professionalism and trashed equipment abandoned. As one of the snotty-faced and terrified reporters attempts to hide in his shrub, Harry gives a cautious jab in the leg with his scissors. Then, he curls into a shaky ball and tries to remember the advice John gave him. Don't panic. The dice lands. A booming, wordless voice pronounces, Canon de 8 Grebuval. Canon de 8 Grebuval. Something like that. The car approaches the apex of its trajectory, and as it slowly appears to hang in the air in a manner quite uncharacteristic of motor vehicles yet to be fitted with hover technology, it winks coyly in the afternoon sun. Far away, in her lair, Jane Crocker grabs the two sides of her computer monitor with enough strength to snap it in two. She can't believe what she's watching. Behind her, from a shadowy corner of the room, there's an agitated growling noise and the rattle of chains. The ground begins to shake as a battery of naval cannons materialize in flashes of cerulean light and drop into formation behind Vriska. She cracks her knuckles one by one with each impact. The vibrations cause Tavros's gnome to fall over. The enfilade is halted without recording a single hit. The secret police, perchance, perched strategically in the tree and behind mailboxes, are now doing a synchronized, slowly take your badass shades off and gawk at the sky type routine. The car seems to regard the laws of gravity as a mere suggestion. Don't make a scene. Vriska Circuit laughs. The guns roar. To all this and more, Vrissy is blissfully ignorant. She doesn't register the tearful and sniveling faces of the hapless journos as they beat a hasty retreat, nor the bruised and bloody faces of the ones writhing about on the ground, their purplating eyes and gasping mouths giving them the look of particularly wronged fish. In the mayhem, she doesn't notice Harry or Tavros or even the toppled gnome. All these details and more sail above her head like a home run over an especially stubby shortstop. The only thing that registers to Vrissy Merriam Lalonde in this moment is a pair of brilliant orange eyes, framed by azure-tinted lashes and cut under with a sharp smirk. The sounds of gun and cannon fire soak half-heartedly into her auricular sponge clots. The world beneath her is shockingly still, and all the while those eyes seem to burn something deep into her, leaving pitch-black scorch marks in parts of her psyche she didn't even know existed. In all her life, Vrissy has never seen anyone look so cool, and it drives her nuts. As the blossoming fireball above wilts into an angry smoky cloud, and flaming bits of X-car begin to absolutely pelt it down all around her, she feels someone grab her wrist. It's Harry Anderson, wearing an expression of animal panic. His mouth moves to form words she can't hear, but the message gets across all the same. It's time to get the fuck out of here. The Crockerite Fuzz has more pressing things to worry about than giving chase. The good fortune keeps the kids safe from the deadly automotive folly does not seem to be contagious. So they flee. Though the suburbs and into the spindly checkered streets of the central Carapatian kingdom, or through, the four of them tear their way towards the bell tower in the distance. Vriska flies out in front, a pole star the color of carrot. Immediately behind her is Tavros, whose many years of morning jogs with his father and emotional torment, his mother, have given him a frankly stupid degree of endurance, though you wouldn't think it to look at him. His glasses are beginning to slip and bounce on his slickening nose with every stride. A short way behind him is Vrissy, who is hanging back a little. Harry, still clutching her arm, is starting to lag. He has his eyes squeezed shut as he runs, and Vrissy thinks she can hear him muttering something to himself over and over again between staggered breaths. Don't get caught. Gasp. Don't get caught. Gasp. Brissy turns away as a mixture of pity and embarrassment threatens to join the worsening stitch in her side. Nobody gives chase. No one shouts, "Stop those kids," in a commanding voice or implores some poor taxi driver to step on it. But they dare not slow. Tavros feels as though some dark and sinister shape is lurking just out of sight. It reminds him of the nights at home when he would sprint through tall, imposing trophy rooms and mirror-walled hallways, racing for the miserable safety of his bedroom's glow after turning the kitchen light off. What he wouldn't give to be back there now. With their old lives quite exploded, he's unsure whether they're running out of the danger or into it. The brightness radiating off of Vriska has all the safety and comfort of a supernova. Vrissy, meanwhile, is considering growing her hair out. After a stomach-churning amount of frantic hightailing, the kids turn a corner and esophageal road vomits them. Finally, out into the central plaza. Compared to the cramped city streets, this wide-open space feels agoraphobic, exposed. The bell tower thrusts itself into the clear sky from the other side, all mnemonic and pointy, and its lengthening shadow beckons them to safety. Between, in the center of the large and perfect square, is the familiar Dirk Strider memorial statue standing stoic and still. Surrounding his plinth is a circular fountain, and around the circumference dozens of knee-high cherubic figures piss angelically inward. His effect is unreadable. Is it apathy, boredom, contemplation? As the kids hurry past, the shimmering particles, shaken from Vriska's wings, dance in the polished bronze of his shades, and for a moment his reflective face is suffused with an aura of conspiracy. Nobody pays him the slightest bit of attention. The four stop a while before the tower's base, chest heaving for air. Nobody says anything. They just sort of stand there and ache in each other's company for a bit. Vriska alights on the ground, rakes her throat, quietly spits out a little wad of blue, and wipes her mouth unceremoniously. Tavros pats Harry Anderson tentatively on the arm. Vrissy tries to be badass and cough up something too, but she doesn't really make it work. Harry simply rests his hands on his knees, doubled over and shaking his head. Tavros looks at Vrissy over Harry's arched back and puffs out his cheeks and wide eyes. She gives him a tired half-smile in return. Vriska quietly massages a crick in her neck and rolls first one shoulder, then the other. It's unclear who cracks first, but someone does. And in an instant, all of them are dissolving into a bout of relieved giggles. It starts off as a light, bubbly kind of mirth before the sheer enormity of what they just did sets in, and they progress to full-on belly laughing. The adrenaline in their blood turns to helium and begins to fizz. And all at once, they feel lighter than air. They survived. They're fugitives. Tavros has to take his glasses off to wipe his eyes. Vrissy laughs so hard, she thinks she might be sick. Harry Anderson has to go and actually be sick, which doesn't so much kill the mood as vaguely envelop it in the smell of puke. He has a wobbly grin on his face as he wipes the spittle from his chin, though. Vriska shakes her head, getting rid of her smirk like a wet dog would its water, and then puts her hands on her hips and huffs loudly at the tower. Well, I'm not hauling all three of you up there. She walks over to the little oak door set into the bottom of the campanile. Before she can grab the handle, Tavros pipes up. We won't be able to get in that way. He starts to recount how, ever since the incident, the little oak door to the helical staircase, which runs from the bottom of the tower to the belfry, has been securely locked to prevent copycats, he speculates. Vriska gets bored halfway through the explanation, though, tries the latch anyway, and is the only one who isn't surprised when the door swings politely open. Everything's coming up circuit. She bows theatrically, gestures for the others to make their way inside, and then leaps into the air with a beat of her wings. Last one up to the town is a clown fucker. They run like the wind. That was a fucking lot that just happened. That was like a full epilogues chapter. John. Okay, I'm back literally like a full 8 hours later because I thought I could get an extra chapter in before I had to go earlier, but fucking, of course, it just happened to be like the longest chapter out of anything we read so far. So I had to stop and just continuing the recording now. So let's do it. You made it. I knew you had it in you. Ah, thanks. Of course, we made it, John. It was a walk in the park. I had some of my best moves planned out, gave them the speech of a fucking lifetime, then they all just ran away without even trying to fight back properly. Frankly, I'm a little insulted by just how easy it was, but you must have known it would be a piece of grub cake. After all, we had me there. Friska. It's nice that you're basically the same exact person you've always been. You're welcome. Honestly, I'm still a little bewildered by your being here, but guess I'm happy to see you anyway, especially in a context that doesn't involve any amount of kissing a clouch. Oh, that doesn't involve any amount of kissing a clouch. Not right now, you fuckhead. Ah, crap. Sorry. Anyway, thanks for helping out, I guess. I can take it from here, though. Be my guest. Okay. If you don't mind, Briska. I'd like to talk to my son, please. Oh, right, sure. Don't let me get in your way. I'll just be over here, basking in the knowledge of a job well done and plotting acts of violence. Haha. Thanks. Whatever. Limp into a respectable distance. Just right a second. Right here. Whatever. I hate to bleed all over your touching reunion. Sorry about that, Harry Anderson. Where were we? Oh, right, your escape. I guess I already said, but I knew you had it in you. Yeah, I guess so. I realized that it was a lot to handle, though. You can say that again. It wasn't until after I hung up that I even remembered that I never gave you the strife specibus for your birthday. Oh, it's okay. Vriska had a spare. I put my sewing scissors on it. It was all I really had at the time. That sounds familiar. I kind of stumbled ass backwards into getting stuck with my first hammer, but after a while, I couldn't imagine having picked anything else. I'm sure you'll do some amazing things with it. You already did, in fact. I'm sure Jane is feeling really butthurt about things this very minute. Prankster's Gambit is tipping back in her favor, that's for sure. Yeah, if it's all right, Dad, I don't really want to talk about it all that much right now. You're right, it was kind of a lot to go through. That's okay. We don't have to talk about that if you don't want. Honestly, who cares about Strife's Best Buy or the Prankster's Gambit or whatever? That's not what's important. I'm just glad to know you're safe. Dad? Yeah, son? Can I ask you a question? Anything, son. Okay, cool. So, how come you're wearing that thing? Thing? You know, the windsock. I thought it was busy getting eaten by moths in a museum or something. Please don't tell me you broke in there just to get it back. Oh, the God tier outfit. Don't worry, I can just sort of manifest this whenever I want. Although now that you mention it, the guys at the museum will probably be wondering where it went. Or maybe it's still there. To be honest, I have no idea whether it's the same outfit. I don't think it follows the same laws of physics and stuff that normal clothing does. They're just your basic magic pajamas at the end of the day. And it didn't occur to you to, magic them any bigger. You just look like, well, a grown adult wearing clothes for a kid. It's kind of embarrassing to look at. Blarg, you're right. I admit I didn't give it a whole lot of thought. Just felt like the right thing to put on at the time. I'm pretty sure no such time has ever existed. I don't believe this. What have I ever done to deserve such cruelty from my own son? Lamau. I guess you're right, though. This whole thing is pretty uncomfortable in a lot of ways. When we get a moment, maybe the two of us could brainstorm a redesign. No pressure, though. Have a think about it anyway. In the meantime, I have to go have a quick word with the other Vriska.
Vrissy.
Oh, right. Vrissy, sorry. Hello there. I guess you were listening to all that?
Not really. I just have a sense of hearing that's particularly attuned to the sound of other people talking about me. Or, well, I did until recently.
I bet it's been a bit strange having the original Vriska around. I will say that it's very confusing having both of you in the same place at once. Oh man, now that I think about it.
Dad?
This feels like the perfect conditions for some identical twin type shenanigans, like in The Parent Trap or something. I'm not sure how either of you would feel about being played by Lindsay Lohan, though. Oh my god, kill me now. But anyway, Rissy, your mom called me a while ago. They sound very worried. Your mom's called me a while ago. They sound very worried that you weren't answering your phone.
Obviously, I was busy.
Well, anyway, they're on their way here. Jade is coming too. They should arrive any minute.
Oh, you're kidding.
Here they come now. I can see them over there. The three of them. Why are they holding Kanaya like that? Oh, wait, is it because she's not God tier, but they can fly? That makes sense. Okay. Hey, guys! Rose, it's so good to see you. Even though I guess we saw each other not even a day ago.
Yes. Hello again, John. It's good to see you too.
Oh, wow! This has to be the smallest number of words you've ever greeted me with. And Jade, it's been too long. I'm glad you're here.
Hi, John. Me too.
I knew you were involved with the Troll Rebellion as well, but I didn't think you'd turn up looking quite so cool. I think the camo really suits you. Jade? Is everything okay? You seem a little out of it.
Oh, I'm fine, John. Everything is fine. It's just, Rose, a little help here. I think what Jade is trying to say is that, to stay within your chosen topic of outfits for the moment, the two of us are currently experiencing a sudden bout of speechlessness that is not entirely unrelated to the present state of yours, which is to say, the pajamas.
Ah.
I've heard of suns out, thumbs out, but this is a little extreme. Anyone would think you didn't know that there's a war going on. Not to be rude, of course.
No, it's all right, Rose. I've already heard the same thing from Harry Anderson. In fact, if anyone else would like to criticize the clothes, now's your chance. Please feel free to form an orderly queue right here. Kanaya, I'm sure you've got something to say about it, right? Kanaya?
Do not mind me, John. I am simply making quite sure that my daughter over here is all right and not causing any more trouble than I am certain she already has. Hiss! And not the good kind of trouble, which involves acts of misbehavior towards figures and structures of immense corruption or maleficence, such as the kind of trouble we are already presently and will continue to be in while our cause remains true. Meanwhile, I trust my wife, whom I love utterly, to make known to you everything that is happening at the present moment, without tactical omission, in a manner that is comprehensive and unexpurgated.
All right then. So, what's up, Rose?
That does seem to be the question, doesn't it? The situation is difficult to describe.
I'm sure it's not all that bad. I mean, sure, I guess we are in a bit of a complicated mess, especially ever since Vriska showed up, killed Gamzee, and declared herself the rest of us terrorists or something.
You're welcome.
But it's nothing we shouldn't all be able to think our way out of now that we're all together, right?
John, there's something I need to tell you. There's something I need to tell you. There's no point in hiding it anymore.
Jade's words, spoken in a nothing more than a dramatic whisper, nevertheless seemed to echo in John's ears. Her face is somehow in shadow despite the sunny day, and John swears there's even an unexpected chill in the air. He feels a nervous prickling sensation crawl its way up his spine. The windmills in John's brain start to creak into motion. It must be something big. Something really big, something so big that his sister would come all the way here to tell him in person, abandoning her scouting mission in the middle of an armed conflict to do so. As well as her husband, John realizes with a start, as Dave's curious absence finally brings itself to his attention. Hot on the heels of that realization is another, and another, and then another. Jade's mouth moves without a sound now. The wind that only exists in John's head is drowning out everything she's saying, as it whips itself up into a gale, and his mind races frantically towards a conclusion. All at once, he reaches the eye of the storm, and then, from somewhere out of a half-remembered dream, comes the sensation of falling. A burning golden city. A girl screaming. There's only one thing that Jade Harley has ever valued so highly above everything else, even her own life. Family. Jade, are you pregnant? Jade finally looks up at him. Her face is wide-eyed and angry.
What? No, John, I'm not fucking pregnant.
Oh.
Putting aside the fact that that's completely impossible for a whole bunch of different reasons, why would you even say that? Weren't you listening to what I was saying?
I was,
Now I have to start all over again. John, I have a daughter. She's almost Harry Anderson's age.
You have a daughter?
Yes.
You've had a daughter?
Yes, John.
Wow, I'm a little shocked about this. I mean, you have a daughter.
Yes, John, I have a daughter. I have a daughter, John. In fact, I have had a daughter for quite a while.
Sorry, I'm struggling to process this a little bit. If she's nearly Harry Anderson's age, then that means you've had a daughter for what? I guess that must be about 15 years?
Yep.
Wow. I'm not sure how to feel about this shit.
John, I have had a daughter for 15 years and I didn't tell you about it. I am so very sorry. If that hurt your oh so precious feelings.
It is deathly quiet.
You of all people don't get to judge me, okay? Everyone was getting married and having babies at the time, and I wanted that for myself so badly. You have no idea what it was like living on that fucking island with my dead grandfather, waiting for forever for you to finally wake up. And then I went through all of that nonsense over again on the ship through the yard. And then when it was over, I thought maybe I could have something like a normal life. But then you just vanished on everyone for years. Everyone was busy building the lives we've all been working for. Rose and Kanaya, Roxy and Callie, Jake and Dave and Carcat were... They were... Look, I knew, okay? I knew that on some level they just didn't want me there. I knew the plans they had for each other, even when they didn't. And it was clear that I didn't fit into those plans, but they just wouldn't admit it.
I tried so hard to get them to see what they wanted, but it just didn't work. And then Carcat left, and I couldn't just leave Dave by himself after what happened to Dirk. So I stayed. I tried to be the good person and stay, but then he
Jade, it's all right. I can take it from here. Jade leans soggily into Rose's shoulder. Jade, I'm sorry. John, if you start crying as well, we shall never get anywhere.
Right. Sorry. So I'm sorry. I got a bit lost in all that. Could we rewind a little?
I think that might be for the best, narratively speaking. We got a touch sidetracked. She gives Jade a gentle pat on the back as she says this. So, to rewind, Jade wanted a child of her own, but while she was with Dave and Carcat, the three of them were unable to conceive one due to a number of reasons. They looked into adoption, but, well, let's just say that if the administration was getting uncomfortable about an adoption between a troll and a human, they were starting to be outright obstructionist when it came to one between a troll and two. Having exhausted all other options for producing or fostering a child between the three of them, Jade had to look elsewhere.
You mean find a surrogate or something?
Correct. It was at this point that Jade came to me. I could understand her pain quite acutely, and so I agreed to carry a child on her behalf. Without telling Kanaya.
There is another heavy silence. Brissy is stunned. All 8 pupils staring at her mother in shock. Harry and Tavros are trying to find somewhere to look at that isn't straight at Rose. Vriska, meanwhile, is sporting a grin as wide as a bus. Oh my fucking god, Vriska, you piece of shit. It looks like she wants to give someone a high five. Jade is a picture of misery. Kanaya doesn't seem to be surprised or angry or even disappointed. She just folds her arms expectantly. John is discovering that he can't decide what to do with his hands. He feels impossibly embarrassed. I'm not sure why I made that decision. I regret not telling Kanaya, of course, but I can't say that I regret going through with it. At the time, it didn't feel as though the deception was even all that prolonged. The whole affair was short, purely physical, and nothing more. Kanaya finally moves to stand next to her wife. She places a softly glowing hand on the shoulder that hasn't been generously watered by Jade. Rose and I have already discussed this in private before coming here, and I have therefore already said everything that I would like to say on the matter. And vis-a-vis the matter, I think that's really all there... And vis-a-vis the matter, I think that's really all that there is to say. I want to be able to tell Vrissy this in person, however. Moreover, for her benefit, and for that of everyone else, I feel in my capacity as a mother and leader, I should make it clear. This is not something that will undermine Rose's and my relationship, neither as comrades or a couple. I am upset at being lied to, and for no other reason. And in particular, I would like to make it understood that I do not, and never will see Jade as having jeopardized our marriage through the simple crime of wanting to be a mother. If anyone in this world understands the lengths to which a person will go to achieve such an end, then that person is me. As she says this, Kanaya looks at Vrissy, and its look all filled to bursting with 2 universes and countless lifetimes worth of love and maternal devotion. To all observers, Vrissy is either on the verge of bursting into tears or gagging. It could really go either way. So, just to get this straight in my head, Rose, if you're the mother, then since obviously neither Dave or Karkat is the father, who is it? Rose's expression has the patience and tranquility of a mountain. Jade's is made of knives. John, there isn't a father. Jade and I are the sole parents of this child. Oh, I'm so sorry. I didn't think. That's quite all right, John. Although you might like to direct that apology more towards your sister, all I will say is that if you would like to take up the particulars with us, some other time. Here, Rose looks pointedly at the various teens dotted about the belfry, all of whom are remarkably interested in the local architecture all of a sudden. Then I'm sure Jade and I can walk you through some basic concepts. No, I'm about to change the subject. Okay, so how did you hide the pregnancy? Oh, that was simple. Jade's genes being, as they are, part canine, the gestation period was substantially reduced. I carried the baby to term in just under 2 months. Since she was unfamiliar with human pregnancy at the time, I assumed Kanaya simply thought I was looking a little more substantial than usual and didn't think it polite to comment. In defense of my observational skills, I feel like I should point out that you had recently recovered miraculously from a debilitating and potentially fatal illness, a state in which you were exceptionally malnourished to say the least. Well, quite. Anyway, with the messy part finished, all that was left was the trifling matter of Jade and I raising the child together in secret for 15 years. A task that we performed flawlessly until a few short moments ago when she became the political prisoner of a certain Jane Crocker. Oh my god. That... No offense, Jade, but that bitch! So, this finally is the predicament that we are presently faced with. Jane has taken YIFFY hostage in retaliation for our supposed kidnapping of her son and the murder of her former favorite clown. The fact that only one of these things actually happened, and that the rebellion is responsible for neither of them, will not matter to her in the slightest. The woman means murder. Christ. Okay. I think I understand everything, so... Wait! You mean to tell me, not only do I have a sister, but you named your secret child YIFFY? Vriska quietly settles on herself as a high-five partner. With geological slowness, Rose turns to face her one reasonably named daughter, a tinge of embarrassment coloring her face for the first time this afternoon. Well, no. We didn't call her YIFFY. That would be a quite ridiculous thing with which to burden a child. Her full name is Yiffany Longstocking Lalonde Harley. Vrissy looks as though she's about to shit the bell tower they are standing in brick by brick. It was, in hindsight, a monumentally terrible decision, acting as the final chapter in a long series of novels, each one full of progressively more terrible decisions than the last, but that is the name we decided upon. You have to understand, this whole situation ended up playing out a bit like an ironic game of chicken between the two of us, something that far outstripped anything that the Strider fraternity could have produced in their wildest, most JPEG'd creative wet dreams. But in the end, that triumph of irony came back to bite us in the fucking ass, as irony is wont to do. There was absolutely no possibility of us casually letting you all know that, by the way. We had a secret daughter named YIFFY Longstocking, at least not right away. But carapacian change of name paperwork is so complex and circuitous that eventually keeping quiet forever just seemed like the more reasonable option. So here we are. Everyone lapses into a third meaningful silence, one which has an air of finality to it as they collectively contemplate the here that they are. They have plans to make. Even now, YIFFY is likely being held at spoon point, subject to the mercies of a power-crazed tyrant in a Pagliaccio morning. The war for the planet is only just getting started, and the worst is likely still to come. And yet, when Rose slowly wipes a single tear from her eye and leans to touch foreheads with Kanaya, John suspects that the whole thing might have just brought them all the closer together. Beside him, Harry Anderson stifles a sleepy yawn. The day which once threatened never to end is now fading from the world. As the sky above starts to purple, the heaviness of the events hanging over them dissolves in the warmth of the evening sun, and a refreshing current of air seems to blow the last traces of it away like the merest dust. So that's fucking crazy. Just out of nowhere. Holy shit. Okay. So all right. Yeah, that's why Kanaya is too good for this world. Holy shit. She is taking this peculiarly well. What the fuck? So that's why, like, the context around YIFFY's existence is so, like, controversial. That is fucking crazy. I will admit, that is, like, okay. But it is what it is. That happened. I don't know exactly how I feel about it, but I appreciate the gusto of putting a plot point like that smack dab in the middle of the story. That's fucking insanity. Moving on, I guess. It's only later that night, in the mess hall on board the rebellion ship, that John absent-mindedly turns to Jade and asks, "So, where's Dave?" And we, the audience, know that Dave is a robot.